Hi there, thank you so much for clicking the thumbnail and being interested in my work. In this video I share with you my techniques and tips on how I draw the clothes and also the background. So please stick with me right through till the end, because here and there I'll be slowing things down so you can take a closer look. So let's dive in and take a look. Here's where we left it in part 3. So now it's a case of doing the clothes and the background. If you wanted to pause this image now so you can take a note of the colours I'm using, so they're just basic primary colours and a brown there, and I've used a secondary colour orange as well. It's a case of getting the whites in first, and the brightest of the white I'm using a Rembrandt stick, which is really high in pigment, so it really creates real vivid white. Then I use the primary colours along with the secondary colours if I need to desaturate it, but it'll all come clear as we go along. But because I've got a lot to do on this video, what with the clothes and the background, so I'm going to speed this up quite a lot for this video, but I'll try and talk through it as we go along. But on this pattern here I'm just using dark green and a light green, and if I needed to desaturate that or make a green shadow, I'd use the complementary colour, which will be red. Use meaning mix with it, so if you wanted to make a shadow of green, I mix red and green together. So what I do is get the white down, put the blue on, and then to change that blue into a bluey grey, I'm adding the orange to it to create a shadow of blue, because the actual shadow of white is like a bluey purpley colour, but sometimes it can cast as like an orangey blue colour, especially if you've got reflected skin colour on that. Again, the same principle with it being a different blue, but it's still the same, using the orange for sort of neutralising it or making the shadow of that. But what I'm using for the dark blue areas, instead of using black and blue to make the dark blue shadows, I'm using brown and blue. It just makes it more alive. So try that, see if you can get it darker. We're using a dark blue and brown. If you need to go black, then you just add a bit of black with it anyway, but if you can get away without using black, try brown and blue. If you're finding value in this video, why not subscribe? It's absolutely free, then you're sure not to miss any of my future videos. I always keep aware of as well that it's energy that I am actually drawing, not just a thing. So even though that's clothes, there's energy shining through that, there's an energy around the clothes. That's really where I'm trying to connect to, and just letting go and letting these marks and colours just develop by just switching on to how it feels. So that's my approach really. The paper I'm leaning on here is called glassine paper, which is a special paper which you find it very hard to sort of smudge your work underneath it, so it's worth buying some of that in case you need it. I'll leave a list of materials in the description below, so please take a look at that later. So again, using the same principles, using the blue, using orange to desaturate it, and using brown to do the shadow as well, so brown and blue rather than black. But in the deepest shadows you might have to use a bit of black, so you just have to play about with it really. The little trainers were great to do. For the dark shadows I use black and blue with it, so it's always best to put a little bit of colour with black, it just gives it depth. For the white rubbery areas of the little trainers as well, I've used like yellow ochre, burnt sienna mix, changing it up as a little bit with a little bit of grey as well. You've got to play about with these things and see what works and mix them together. To get the highlight, I've used like a Rembrandt stick as well on that white. Now the suede look of these trainers, you have to randomly put the marks in, and using the lemon yellow as well, which gives it sort of a nice texture, it sort of lifts it up a little bit. So using grey and black, using that little bit of lemon yellow here and there, and it just does the trick. If you would like to support me on Patreon, I am now offering an exclusive 4-hour long video plus a step-by-step exclusive video every month. To find out more, the link is in the description below. Now for the planks of wood on the shed, I found a selection of Rembrandt sticks, a similar sort of colour, it's like a yellow ochre and a burnt sienna colour I've used, and then I've used brown, like a burnt umber, ultramarine blue and burnt sienna to mix in with that on the pencil form. To get the shadow I've used burnt umber and blue, mixing that in with my finger. The deep shadows there I've used purple and burnt umber. Sometimes I've had to go in with black to make it that little bit more darker as well. Now to get the texture of the grain of the wood, I'm just randomly going across it with the brown and the blue. You really got to just let go here and just feel how it feels. Imagine the wood. Imagine being in the shed. So again, you're just not looking at it as detail, but you're seeing it as a feeling, and see the space, the negative space around him, and draw that, the stillness within the shed, try and connect to that and place that in place. When I started the straw, what I did a little test strip really, so using the sort of Rembrandt sticks and mixing that together with a few sort of pencils, pastel pencils, and seeing what works really. So you're just trying to find the colours first before you start. It's a really good idea. Now there's a trick to doing something as complicated as this straw in the shed. Because you look at it and you think, my God, look at all that detail. How am I going to do this? Now, my little trick is not to name anything. See it as light and shade, movement and feeling. As soon as you give it a name, the mind will kick in, and then there's a tendency to fear what you're going to do. There's the unknown, how are you going to do it, all that detail, and you get too sort of wrapped up into each strand as well, which all causes tension, and you end up not really enjoying it. So the first thing to do is just block in the whole area with a shade which is similar, so you just mix it together and rub it in with your finger, and then just focus on one area, just doing the details and trying to get the colour and the feel right, so you get familiar with the routine. Because once you get a routine and you feel the movement, feel the shapes, then it all becomes quite easy. It just becomes automatic. So spend quite a bit of time on a little bit of an area, getting that right, getting the feel right, still relaxing and not seeing it as straw, just seeing it as light and shade, but picking your colours, seeing what works, and then once you know, just let go and just go for it, and you'll be surprised it'll just all come together. If you're enjoying this video, why not give it a like and share it with your friends? I'd really appreciate that because it would help the channel to grow. Using a pencil that is very similar to the highlighted colour of the straw, I've drawn in the shapes and then I shape them by using the burnt umber. So you're sort of mapping out the area and then going over them with burnt sienna, yellow ochre and a bit of blue if it needs it. You really got to squint your eyes when you're doing this as well, just to get that correct tonal value of the shadows. You don't want it too overpowering that it's going to take your eye off the subject, but it's got to be enough to make it real, to feel real, and to feel that the actual space is believable. Here's a tip when you're doing so complicated sort of patterns and that, is just to get the feel of big shapes in first. Start big and then work small. So it's just a case of getting the big blocks in, then trying to find things that connect, and just really enjoy it. Just let go and feel rather than think. Thinking will really slow you down if you just sort of open your heart, let your mind relax and just focus on the energy and the feel of space. Try and sense that straw as well, how it smells. If you can bring back your memory of straw, bring that into play as well, so you can really sort of get that feel for it as you're drawing it. For longer, slower and more in-depth videos, please join me on Patreon. Link is in the description below. After the background has been completed, it's time to take an overall look at it and sense the whole portrait and make things darker here and there, lighter here and there, change the values so it sort of creates the atmosphere you want in. Take a look at the edges as well, so some areas needs to be sharp where other areas needs to be sort of blurred or softened out. So you have to decide what part of the subject you want to shine out and then make that more contrast or more sharper, and then with areas that want to recede you just make them like slightly blurred. But it's creating a feeling that the actual subject is actually there. So you don't want to, a copy of the photograph. It's got to be more than that. Here's a look at the portrait at the correct angle rather than seeing it in perspectives as it was on the easel. Thank you for watching the video right through to the end. If you found value in it and you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Appreciate it, would help the channel. Leave a comment and a message in the comments below. Let me know what sort of videos you want me to produce. I've actually left a couple of links here for you to click on. And to subscribe, click on the circle here. It's absolutely free, and then you're sure not to miss any of my future videos. Thank you so much, take care and be well.